I wanted to make this video because I don't know why it was so hard for a viewer to understand that the point of the K-tube video that I made was that no matter the situation, no matter if a person has gained weight or lost weight, no matter if a person is struggling to sing after doing a lot of performances and they're struggling to sing, gasping for air, which all humans have this problem. It is not something that, you practice and you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. No matter the situation, it is not okay to send hate to these idols. That was the point. I don't know how, after me blatantly stating the point throughout the video, that this individual did not understand what I was talking about. Because actually I do understand, because they hyper-focused on the scenario and then lost the entirety of the point of the video, which can happen. That can happen, okay? That can happen. When you hyper-focus on a certain thing, no, that's not right. They take breaks in Inky. Yes, I know they take breaks in Inkigayo and Mnet Count. I know they take breaks. However, my scenario, to nitpick, I just think it was kind of silly to nitpick the scenario. Why get hot and bothered about the scenario I made and then miss the point? Then this person went on to say, listen, either they can sing or they can't sing. And I never said in my video that because you need stem vocals and backing vocals that you can't sing. I said this in a previous video, and I've said this throughout last year. So this particular person is late to the party. I said that, and this is a well-known fact, okay? This is not something I made up. This is not BS. Check it. When you are in a professional industry where you are performing a lot and singing, sometimes you and your group will need stem vocals, because that is basically what these idols need. Stem vocals, which are pre-recorded vocals that are pre-recorded live, okay? Which the production team or studio, whatever, can fix and tweak those to sound however they need it to sound for the live performance. That's not on every song. Okay, I never said that they have to use backing vocals and stem vocals for every song. I just said that for the ones where they're performing heavily. I think there's this weird idea out there in K-pop land where if a K-pop group needs backing vocals and stem vocals and all that stuff to help them sing while they're dancing, then the idol group in question can't sing. And that you're supposed to be able to do both effortlessly, right? You're supposed to be able to do both without fail. I remember when I did the Shiny is Not Perfect video, and people were like, they are good at singing live. They don't lip sync. They're not good at lip syncing. They hate lip syncing. I don't think that Shiny lip syncs. I think they sing with the track. Okay, they sing with the stem vocals, and that is fine. That's fine. On Romantic, there was a note that Jonghyun probably felt he wasn't confident that he was going to hit perfectly. So you could hear that stem vocal of him doing it kind of creep up when he's doing that on the Romantic. And you could hear that climb up while his voice goes down and you hear like a falsetto version that he's doing. That happens. That does not mean that Jonghyun can't sing. That just means that there are particular parts in songs where idols are like, hey, this is a concert or whatever the case. And yes, calling where idols need to use the least amount of effort as possible while singing because they have a lot of songs to do afterwards. And calling me a clown because I brought up live performances when we were talking about showcases. Yeah, I get it. It's different in the sense that you're not singing 20-something songs. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about showcases or concerts. In both scenarios, you still need at times stem vocals or the track to sing behind, right? So to make a big deal about, I'm not talking about concerts. Yeah, I know we're not talking about concerts, but it's the same thing. The only difference is the amount of songs you sing and the amount of songs you're performing. That's it. But in both cases, you still use stem vocals and the track. So what are you getting upset about? Why are you, what is all this anger? What is all this pent up aggression for? It's not that serious. Calm down. This is why I don't like engaging with immature people like this. Okay, how about you try doing all those performances and try to sing perfectly without stem vocals? I would love to see how you manage. Granted, of course, according to your theory, you'd have to be able to have the natural talent to sing. I honestly think that natural talent in singing is not enough. There's a level of stamina that you have to build through training constantly. But even after training constantly, that does not mean that you're not going to break a sweat doing what you're doing professionally. So I don't know where this weird idea that the more you train and practice, the better you'll get to the point where you won't need backing vocals comes from. I've never seen an idol group not use backing vocals or stem vocals ever. I have never seen it. But guess what? I have always held to the stance that it is not a bad thing that they use stem vocals and backing vocals. I'm fine with that. I think it is a professional thing. It's professional. I don't like to repeat the same stuff that I've already repeated in similar videos or whatever. But if you think about it, just think about it. You have to perform, you have to move around, you have to do choreography, all this stuff, and you're singing at the same time. I'm not saying you can't do both. I'm not even saying you can't do both well. And there are times where they dance and perform and they don't use the stem vocals. But when they don't use the stem vocals, you can hear some errors here and there because they're moving. When your body's in motion and you're singing, do you really think you're going to be hitting notes like straight notes or doing runs while you're literally moving around? No. Regardless of how much you train your body is in motion. Therefore, your voice will be up and down, up and down. I don't know how you missed this point. And this is not directed towards anybody except the one person that decided to try to like make me look stupid on my channel. When you do weird things on my channel, like throw up a bunch of laughing emojis because you thought that what I said was just so pathetic, or you put a yawn emoji because, oh, you know, I'm just wasting my time, you're repeating myself. You know, when you're being silly and not trying to have a candid conversation and you're just there to clown around and act stupid, it's very difficult to make me look stupid because the only one that's acting weird while having a candid conversation is you. I'm not going to say your name. I'm not going to say your name because I don't want people going to your channel, and I know you have one. I've looked you up. I don't want people going to your channel and saying, I actually deleted the entire conversation just so that we wouldn't have any issues. However, I also deleted it because I made the mistake in thinking that I could have a candid conversation with you. Civil discourse, bad idea. I should have known, but that's me trying to assume the best of people. And there's a prime example of that sort of thought process that I have being to my detriment, because I'm assuming that, oh, we can talk. And like, she brought up some points, some good points, a few, but then she's saying stuff that's like, okay, did you come here to have a conversation, or are you just coming here to like be weird? So I don't know. And of course she's not going to think that she was being weird at all or being silly. Of course she's not. A lot of people that have their opinions and they come in with what you said is BS and you're glorifying mediocrity and saying weird stuff like that, a lot of them don't think that what they do is wrong, or how their attitude is towards a topic is wrong, or that they even have a bad attitude. It's funny because like if you go to her YouTube channel, you'll see what her description of her channel is, and just reading that tells you everything you need to know about her personality and how she behaves and how she acts. So it's kind of strange. Anyway, I didn't make this video to dunk on her. I made this video to address the argument. The argument being that just because a K-pop group uses stem vocals and backing vocals to help them while they're performing, not just singing, but performing. Performing entails more than just singing. That does not mean that the group can't sing. That does not mean that an individual can't sing. It's just in your opinion, they can't sing. Now, there are some people whose singing is not their strength, okay? I personally love Kai. I've always said that his voice is a hidden gem that SM needs to utilize more, and they started utilizing his voice a little bit more later on. I think because Kai may have been becoming more comfortable with his voice. Something else that I thought about is that we know that companies market their idols in a way that shows, look, this is what perfection looks like. We know it's not real perfection, right? We know that it is just an appearance of perfection, or what constitutes as perfection in the minds of the CEO and the board and the company at large, and just in Korea at large. The bright skin, the vocals, their personalities. I've heard that some idols are assigned personalities to embody as a persona, and another way to kind of suck fans into a fantasy that's not steeped in any bit of reality at all. Some of these idols, of course, embody that persona, and it's actually not a persona for them. It's who they really are. So it's not hard for them to act that way. However, there are other idols who are assigned a personality by companies that they don't even associate with. That's not who I am. I remember hearing a story about EXO's Kai and how the company wanted him to embody the sexy persona of the group. And Kai was like, I don't want to do that. That's not me. But he embodied it, and as far as performance goes, he is literally the sexiest dude up there. Like, the man knows how to grab your attention, but I know that it was probably at first very uncomfortable for him. That said, going back to the whole perfection thing, there are some netizens that would swear up and down they don't abide by the perfection standards that the company set and present to us, and yet in the same breath, they'll say, no, this idol, either you can sing or you can't. You have to be able to sing. You have to be perfect. They do all these practices and training and do all this stuff for the sole purpose of being perfect when they perform. So if they need these stem vocals and stuff like that, then they can't sing. But you swear that you're not abiding by the fantasy of perfection at all. I mean, if anything, that proves that you do kind of buy into it, at least a little bit, because if you're willing to say that a group does not need stem vocals and that they should be able to deliver 100% all the time, but then you say, well, there's no such thing as a perfect group. Okay, so then which is it? Are they always supposed to be delivering in every performance, or is there no such thing as a perfect group? You can't believe them both at once. And then, of course, they'll say, well, I'm not talking about objectively perfect. I'm talking about subjectively perfect. Well, it's the way in which you say a thing. At times, that's why people think that you're actually meaning something else. When you say it in a certain way, then they take your meaning to mean, okay, this person believes objectively that this group is perfect, because then you're giving like excuses as to why they are perfect. And funny enough, I was told that I was making excuses for K-pop idols who use backing vocals. And they were saying, no, that's an excuse. You're making excuses for them. If they need backing vocals while they're dancing heavily and singing, then they can't sing, period. And I was like, wow, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. That's absolutely not true. Then I guess the majority of K-pop idol groups that are out there that use backing, but which most of them do, I guess all of those can't sing. All those groups that do that can't sing, literally, according to you. It's either you buy into the perfectionism lie, because that's what it is. It's a fantasy world. It is an imaginary place. It is a form of escapism for fans, right? You run to your idol group. You run from the real world into a fantasy world where perfection is shown to you, pushed in front of you. This is what perfection is supposed to look like. And y'all forgive me, my voice is still bad. This is what perfection looks like. This is what you need to model yourself after. Look at this. But then in those performances, sometimes people's voices crack. Okay, Jonghyun, I'm gonna use Jonghyun as an example to prove a point. Jonghyun was one of the top tier vocalists of SHINee. Absolutely. Next to Onu, next to Key, it was Jonghyun. Jonghyun practiced day in, day out. All the members jogged while singing to practice having stamina while performing. It was mainly for performance, not so much for vocal stability. It was mainly for stamina, for performances. That's what they did that for. But he practiced day in and day out, always, constantly, never stopping, never ceasing. You hear stories about how this group and that group heard Jonghyun outside in the hallways singing, belting out notes and doing all this stuff. He practiced like a crazy person. One day, he's on I think it was like a radio show, and he was singing something. His voice cracked. So if his voice cracks, does that mean he can't sing? Like if it cracks once, does that mean he can't sing? Oh, but that's not the argument, right? The argument is if they need stem vocals, right? I would argue that in a situation like that, if that was a live performance, Jonghyun would have needed a stem vocal to cover up that crack. And guess what? Stem vocals, contrary to popular belief, that's not cheating, because they pre-recorded their vocals in a live setting, live. It's not cheating. They still sang it. They just didn't sing it at that moment. There's nothing wrong with that. There's literally zero wrong with that. It's called professionalism. Now you could say, well, that kind of pushes the idea of perfection. No, if you can clearly hear the difference between stem vocals and normal vocals, then you'll know. I mean, but an argument could be made that even covering up a vocal mistake is like trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and say, look, this is perfection. See that? They didn't mess up once. And some people actually do believe that when they hear the stem vocal of a person hitting a high note and they're like, wow, they literally hit that high note, that it was actually them at that moment. And sometimes it's actually not the case. Sometimes it was a note that was hit by them long time ago, pre-recorded, that they turned up with a knob in that moment. So not everything is as perfect in the world of K-pop as people might want it to be. But that is okay. That is okay. Because guess what? Perfection is an illusion. You can become as good as you can. You can play a composition on the piano perfectly, no mess ups. That's possible. Is it possible that you'll do that every single time? No. See, that's what I'm saying. You can perform and dance and sing and it'll be amazing. There are people that master these gifts and these abilities over time. There are people that master singing over time. There are people that master all of these things by practicing and practicing. And eventually you will get to a point where, yes, I can do this almost effortlessly. But there are times when, like, you can master something like Jonghyun, the example I used. You can master something. And let me tell you, Jonghyun mastered that voice of his. And then one day you have a vocal hiccup. And guess what? That's normal. Mind you, yes, he was standing up and he wasn't moving around. He was just singing and he made a vocal hiccup, which all the more honestly proves my point even better. Because this is a situation where he's not performing and he messed up. So what makes you think that people won't have vocal hiccups while performing? Or that if they do and they need backing vocals and stem vocals to cover up the mistakes, that they can't sing? That is a bit extreme to me. I can't get down with that. So to the point of the individual who showed up to my video that one time trying to have a argument with me about that, yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I might do a more in-depth discussion later on in another video talking about the reasons as to why idol groups use backing vocals and stem vocals. Now, I did kind of go over that a little bit in the SHINee is not perfect video that I did last year, but I might try to generalize it even more and just talk in general, like K-pop groups and what they do. I don't know if I did that. I feel like I might have, but it might, like I said, it might be just in that one video and I'm thinking about that one video. But yeah, we can talk about that. I think we can approach these topics without offending each other or having an argument like that, a full-blown fight in the comment section. There's nothing wrong with believing that groups need sometimes backing vocals and stem vocals when they're performing. There's nothing wrong with that. To sit there and say that they need it because they can't sing, and then to be condescending about it and say, well, go look at Blackpink's live performances and then get back at me. And I'm like, what? It's not that serious. It's not that serious. It really ain't. It really ain't. My point on a more serious note of the last video was, no matter the situation, it's wrong to send hate to a group, period. And the fact that that point was missed by someone makes no sense to me. How you missed that because you hyper-focused on one scenario. You hyper-focused to the point where you missed the point. And that, I can say with a clear conscience, is not my fault. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content from your boy, and it'll be your boy Abe signing out. Peace. Love you guys. Bye.